no one's gonna save you, and you have to save yourself. Hi, y'all. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Nylia Febles, your online big sister, best friend, and or biggest supporter. We are gonna be doing a cook and yap, and today we're gonna be talking about how no one's gonna save you, and you have to save yourself. Before we get into the video, I just want to mention just how much I love cooking, so I'm really happy to be doing this on my channel right now. I'm gonna be making today my like winter fall soup. And like every time I want to feel like nice and cozy, this is what I make for myself, and I usually just put together a bunch of like vegetables, whatever meat I have, and then I add in my little tiny baby pastas. So I'm gonna be cooking while also kind of talking about this whole like save yourself concept. So come along. I was thinking about what I wanted to talk about in this video today, and I had written down a bunch of like ideas I had of like topics to speak on, and this one just kind of like really resonated with me today. And it's something that I've learned to develop or start being better at recently. As someone who came from a background where I feel like I was very much in like people pleaser energy, and I was kind of looking for those relationships to save me from myself. And I tried and I kind of put it on the other person to be responsible for me and my emotions. From a young age, I've always been very imaginative, so I love movies, I love stories. I would always think about this analogy of like, oh, Disney princesses, all the way up in towers being saved by men, rah, 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 rah. Girl, the way this economy is set up, please. I love reading about love and just how much people are there for each other, whether that's in relationships or friendships. And every time in these stories or in these movies or shows I would watch, every time the main character was like in a problem or something going on, there would always be someone to save them at the last minute. And I think that put an expectation in my brain that like anytime I was like deep in like my own misery, that someone would come and save me. And even when I was deep in those moments, I would kind of like pray or hope that someone would find me. And I think that's a really normal feeling to have. And who doesn't want somebody to be there for them? But it was really hard in those moments because I was already kind of beat down by whatever I was feeling. And on top of that, when I had those thoughts, it made me feel alone, as like the moments went by, no one really was there. And I've really pushed myself to be my number one supporter and really do all those things for myself. And it's a really hard shift to make because I've always kind of held space for other people to fill that role. So giving it to myself felt really strange at first. It's so big for you to do for yourself what you want others to do for you because it conditions your conscious mind to expect that. You know, when you want something but you don't do it for yourself, it comes from a place of lack. You know, I don't have it, so I hope someone comes along and gives it to me. That doesn't make any sense when you easily have the skills and the ability to do it for yourself. So, quick break. We're going to be going back to cooking. So, right now, I just put some oil in my pot. And best believe your girl got your Maggie. You know what I mean? We're just going to grab a little chunk of that baby. We're going to top that baby inside with my oil. Let me get my spoon ready because this girl be popping. I'm not going to hold you. I'm just going to give that girl a little whirl, a little mix. Oh, in my refrigerator, I have some kielbasa. So we're going to have our kielbasa. We're going to throw our sweet potatoes in there and carrots just to like saute it a little bit and really brown it up a little before I kind of go ahead with all the like water and broth and everything. I'm gonna let that saute a bit and then I'm gonna go ahead and throw in those onions and garlic. Ooh, girl. Now that's some food right there. I think emotionally sometimes we blame other people for how we feel, and we blame other people for being in a certain headspace, or say that, oh, like because they did that, I'm now in this space. And fair, because you know, we a lot of times can get triggered by what people do based on past experiences or just things that we don't like or our own boundaries. But I think to a certain extent, we need to take accountability and realize that other people will not always be able to fulfill you, and other people sometimes don't even apologize for making you feel that way. So, what are you going to do when someone doesn't care how you feel? Will you keep pushing yourself and forcing yourself to be around those people because it fulfills something in you to a certain extent? Or are you going to take accountability and save yourself and remove yourself from the situation? This you can really apply to a lot of like toxic relationships where you feel like the other person is invalidating or dismissive or isn't really caring about you and your emotions. Are you going to choose to still stay in that situation, or are you going to choose to move on and be in a space of peace, even if it requires kind of ripping away that attachment or even that relationship that was important to you? Another quick break. So I just added in my onions and garlic. So now we're going to go on my seasonings. We're going to start off with complete seasoning from Badia. Not gonna lie, I'd be a little heavy-handed with the seasoning, but that's just the Dominican in me. Thank you very much. We also have some adobo, and we have some garlic and oregano. We're gonna add in our kale now. This is what we're looking at right now. Okay, so now that everything's kind of sauteed all together, we're gonna go in with our bone chicken broth. And I never have any measurements. I just go off vibes, you know? Also gonna go ahead and add some more water. I usually do like 1 cup of lemon juice. I'm just let that simmer. Going back to saving yourself, I think the most important part of this is recognizing that you are born alone in this world and you will leave alone in this world. And sometimes when you sit there and you're feeling lonely, it's because you're not fully comfortable being by yourself, because either you start being enveloped by your own thoughts, or maybe you're not thinking enough. Maybe you're not looking inside enough. And it's really important that you find this level of security with yourself for yourself, because in those moments when it's really hard and no one is there for you, you don't want to fall into that hole of, oh, I don't mean anything, or say things in your head that basically decrease your value to yourself, because you have so many dreams and ambitions and you are such a wonderful person. So why would you not feel that way and pour into yourself that way at all times? You deserve to be peaceful. You deserve to be happy. You deserve to feel calm. And you deserve to be in a loving place. And sometimes that loving place is by yourself. You know, we aren't all lucky enough to be born into families or friendships that fulfill us to a certain extent, that are kind and loving. Sometimes you grow into those, you find those people along the way. But most of all, you need to find that person within yourself, because if you are not someone that gives love to others, if you're not someone that gives love to yourself, what are you here for? You know? And again, I think about this the most when we are in our deepest, darkest moments alone. And as people go through life, or as you see on social media, people can seem like they're having an amazing time and having an amazing life, and that can very much be true. But at the same time, they're people and they experience terrible moments. And they experience moments where they are at their worst and they feel like they're in a hole they can't get out of. And personally, from my experience, as I've gone through those moments, the one thing that has held me down is me. Because sometimes, because I will sit there and I will bed rot and I will be in my feelings for as long as I have to be in my feelings. But at some point, there's something in me that just says, like, no matter what, keep going. No matter what, keep pushing yourself. No matter what, keep going towards your dreams and being the person that you want to be. Because whenever you choose yourself and you prioritize yourself, you can never lose. Even if you feel like people and things are being removed from your life, it's never a loss because it wasn't supposed to stay in the first place. Many times we can be really stuck in certain cycles or be around certain groups of people, and it feels like, okay, this is familiar and this is comfortable, but I don't like it anymore. So what are you supposed to do? And as we are conditioned to stay in the familiar, you want to stay even though you know it's not sustainable for you. But you have to save yourself. You have to pull yourself away no matter how much attachment you feel like you have left, no matter how much you feel like you love this thing or person. Sometimes you have to go and sometimes you have to walk away. And that is you saving yourself, you know? It's like putting handcuffs on, but you have the key in your hand. And you keep telling yourself, I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't leave. You keep limiting yourself. And that's how you stay in these karmic cycles of things happening over and over and over again. And it's funny, but sometimes God, higher power, the universe, whatever you believe in, can be a little cruel and only give you things when you least want them. And I say that in a sense that if you sit here and say, oh, you want something, you want something, you want something, sometimes that pushes you further away from that thing because the energy you're putting out is of desperation. Instead of sitting here and saying, I already have what I have and I'm grateful for it. Would I want more? Of course. But I am going to be grateful for what I have. And whatever I want next will come to me no matter what. And that energy seems to bring so much more abundance and opportunity than that desperate energy you put out when you truly want something. And this ties back to saving yourself because you're saving yourself from constantly clawing and chasing after things. When, in a sense, when you chase something, it's going to run away. That's just the innate response. Versus if you walk up to that thing, if you walk with it, it feels comfortable with you. And it will then, you will kind of alchemize it into your life or embed it into your life. So it really is important to sit with yourself. And even when you're doing perfectly fine and amazing, sit with yourself and ask yourself, where do I feel like I'm repeating cycles? Where do I feel like I keep regressing and going back to the person that I used to be? And how can I get through it? What hard decisions do I have to make in order to become the person I want to be? Because it is the daily habits day by day to get you where you want to go versus one big step or leap. I feel this especially hard because as of recently, I've had so many life changes, like starting a job, graduating college, moving out, like living by myself for the most part. It's so much going on at once, so many emotions and feelings and experiences that are so brand new to me. And I've had to also make so many decisions of, moving away from things and people, and they have felt heart-wrenching. It feels like when you have attachment to things that you have to like rip it off of you like piece by piece, and it is hard work. And so many times you just want to sit there and revert back to what you used to do because it gives you that instant relief almost, and then you regret it later on down the line. So why don't we just go ahead and do the hard thing? It's hard, but it will only reward you. So if there's something that you've been wanting to do, that you've been hesitant about, that you've been pushing back on, that you've been just scared to do it and see what happens. Because every time you put yourself first, you can never lose. And if you're scared of putting yourself first because you feel like that might put you in a position to lose things that you may love or care about currently, try it and see what happens. Because those things were not meant to stay if they are to leave, if you are to choose yourself. It is so important for you to be there for you to hug yourself when you need it, for you to get a meal for yourself when you need it, to cater to you the way you want others to cater to you, the way you need it and want it. For example, like right now, I'm making myself a meal. And if you know me, I love to cook. And especially on my worst days, even when I'm tired, I sit there and I'm just like, wow, like I would love a like homemade meal right now. So even when I'm tired and exhausted, I go ahead and cook for myself. And after the fact, I get so excited and so happy like, wow, I have a meal right in front of me that I made for myself. And it gives me almost a sense of comfort of, wow, I'm able to protect myself and I'm able to care for myself. And now I kind of have that expectation of those around me. And when you have that expectation, it kind of has you set a standard for others and a standard for things that you will and will not accept in your life. You really do have to save yourself. And it's a tough truth because I feel like in the media, we're given so much information about how we're supposed to move through life and how we're supposed to have relationships and friendships. But at the end of the day, it really is all about you. And you have to recognize that. You can love others as much as you want. It does not mean that that love will come back to you. So don't sit here and be sad and frustrated because you feel like you give your all to people and they don't give it back to you, because you're accepting that. You are accepting less from others. Even though you have the standard of what you want, you're accepting less. So whose fault is that? Clock it. You matter. You are wonderful. You are so valuable, and you need to hold that value. You need to hold on to it. You need to tell yourself, even on your worst days, I'm wonderful and I'm amazing and I'm smart and I am an intellectual, innovative, enterprising individual. And the more you value yourself, the more that life is seeing, okay, this is what you expect of life. That's what I'm going to give you. Oh, I gave you less. Are you going to take it? Or are you going to turn it down because you know there's better? You will continue to be tested until you get to that point where it's like, okay, this is what I'm willing to accept and this is what I'm not. So save yourself. You have the tools, you can do it. It's hard and it can feel lonely because you have this expectation that other people are responsible for your emotions. But at the end of the day, you got yourself and you will always have yourself. You will go through this life by yourself. There's not one person that's going to be with you every second, every minute of your life. So sit with that. Sit with yourself. Enjoy yourself. Like yourself. Love yourself. And if you don't work on that, you have the tools. And if you don't, find them. Talk to people. Research resources. Go to therapy. Whatever will help you, go find it. You deserve it. You deserve to be saved. But you have to do it. I think one of my biggest shifts in mindset was realizing that like within you are multiple versions of you. And in those multiple versions, you have your youngest self who's maybe a year old, and then you have a 6 year old, and then you have your preteen and your teen and your late teens, your early 20s, and all of these people stay inside of you, and each of them are triggered by something different. Each of them are scared of something different still, and that is why we gravitate towards certain people and things. And each of them needs love. So how are you going to love each of them? For myself, when I was younger, I loved being imaginative. I loved creating random things and doing fashion shows with my clothes and make dresses out of blankets. So I try to tap into that energy every now and then, just feel nostalgic and just enjoy those moments. And it brings me back and almost like heals a part of me that I didn't know needed healing. And I do the same for all my other ages. And every time one of them is triggered, I kind of sit there myself. It's like, okay, like what part of me is triggered and what did they believe at the time and why is it so hurtful? And you sit with yourself and you sift through it. And in my head, I like to like give that version of myself a hug and tell them you are safe and there's nothing inside of you or outside of you that can hurt you in this very moment. If you want to be your best self and if you want to become more, You have to reach for it and you have to stop accepting less. Also, y'all, don't fret. Of course, I wasn't gonna leave without showing you the end product. Look at her. I'm so excited to eat her. A nice little soup. It's cold as hell outside, and I need something to warm my soul, make me feel a little warm inside. Yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and remember that you are an amazing, wonderful human being. And I hope you have a great rest of your day, morning, night, whatever time it is for you. And stay tuned for the next video. Bye. Love you.